Now, the most trusted name in radio, Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the airwaves.
Sorry about that. I was muted, folks. There's some people who like to do that permanently. Anyway, we have Chris Clavelli here. Chris, nice to have you back again.
Yes, it's great to be back.
And we fawn over you with great admiration because...
Can I come every morning here if you're going to fawn?
Yes.
Great.
Fawn, go away, I'm no good for you. Anyway, that's wrong show.
Wrong show.
Okay. And we, of course, for show and tell, this man has brought him in here, and it's nothing than Oscar Sales, the man who's he's the marketing director at Riverside Theatre. Yeah. We've known each other probably far too long for you.
Too long.
Too long. And so it's great to have you here. Like, how many years have you been there? 20
19.
years? Oh, my word. And I still think of you as the new guy.
Okay. I'll take it.
Well, it's like the mall. That's our new mall out west of town. It's only been here for 25 years and already going out of business.
Yeah.
Chris Clavelli, you are a professor. You teach
Acting?
acting.
Yes.
Where?
Point Park University.
Point Park University. You know, the show that's coming here is called Morning After Grace.
Yes.
Can you give us a concise...
Yeah. A man loses his wife, goes to a funeral home for her, and picks up a date. And that's...
Nothing like waiting.
Yes. And he's in a lot of pain, and he picks up a date, and they come home, and they find out about each other. And the play starts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you know, is it a comedy?
It is a comedy, yes.
But, you know, life imitates art because I know somebody in town here, and his wife tragically died this past year, and he was so much in the doldrums. He went to a church out west of town. Her husband had just dropped dead 6 months ago. They got married. It was less than a year. I'm going like, how can you? I can't. They said, no, we still love our spouses, but we need each other. And,
Yes.
And the marriage is going fine, believe it or not.
Yeah. Loneliness is a
Yeah,
powerful
yeah.
thing, yeah.
Yeah. Is that breath mints or no?
Those are breath mints, yes.
All right. Can I have one?
No, you can't.
Oh, you can't eat
No, you can't.
Okay. Well, they say, I thought maybe it was a hint or something.
Yeah.
Well, anybody like a breath mint? I read in all these books.
I'm good.
Never turn down a breath mint. So anyway, you haven't started practicing yet, or have
Yes,
you?
just 2 days. We've been in there for 3 days now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's exciting.
What amazes me about being a director, and you're a stage director.
That's right.
So would you differentiate that from director to stage director?
Yeah, the film you get paid a lot more. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yes. Which is why I want to be a film director.
Oh, I thought you meant the stage director was different than the director of the show.
No, it's the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Because I said, are you the director? And Oscar had said the stage director. But
I think, we're just clarifying film or stage.
I thought it was,
Yeah.
okay, because I was thinking choreography, stage director, and then the director.
Oh, no.
Okay,
No.
so you're the director.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
The show is his vision.
I cause all the trouble.
you know, you probably have a talent where I have none. Seriously, there's some people that are gifted in some areas and they say they're almost retarded in others. Well, I'm one of those. Dealing with people. And I would pay you a substantial amount of money if you could teach me how to figure people out, because you as a director, and I've watched this from upstairs, we get to watch, I went to the classes over there at Riverside Theatre.
Yeah.
Guys like you, I tend to have a tone.
A tone?
A tone. My
Yes.
wife says I have a tone.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, you have a tone on the phone with that guy. You shouldn't talk that way. I didn't mean to have a tone. You had a tone, So how do you request things of these emotional beings called actors and not, let them have their freedom to be who they are, but at the same time, you are the director. You are the boss man. And without being bossy, how do you, what is it saying, pull instead of push?
Yeah. Really, and when we work at the Riverside, the caliber of actor is so high. They're the best actors in the country that we work with here. So when I'm teaching college kids, there's a lot more work involved. When I'm directing these kind of pros, I suggest, I edit, I illuminate the script, and then really I watch. And then if something's, I often say that directing is about what's missing, not what's happening. And so when I look at the scenes that we're rehearsing or the play as a whole, I look at what is the audience needs. So then I have to find a way to, as a director, get that out of the actors. But that's really about suggestion and editing. You don't, and when you, like, I have taught, directed in the university setting, and that's almost more acting coaching because the kids don't really know how to act. But that's not the case here. You know, we have amazing people.
When you act, I'd like to ask you this. Now, if you want to know how hard it is to act, put on your iPhone camera and stand in front of it and pretend you're acting, and you'll see how terrible you are. And then, when you go to a show, it's like, how do they remember? I mean, it's definitely some sort of a great gift, and to be able to do it plausibly with credibility and feel, and yet it seems like those aren't rehearsed lines. You know, they do them so many times. I mean, I'm just amazed.
Yeah, it is. They're actors are computers. They're like the greatest computers of all time. The ability to remember the physical life of the character, the emotional life of the character, the psychology of the character, and the lines. Actually, for the professionals, it is hard for some to learn the lines, and the older you get, it's trickier. But the lines become so ingrained in the performance that the people aren't actually thinking about it. The professional's not thinking about their lines. The amateur is. They're thinking, oh, it's about the lines. But really, acting is not about the words. It's really about, they call it an iceberg. The lines are the tip of the iceberg, but the emotional life is what's underneath the water, and that's really what the audience is responding to. Sure, we respond to the words and the jokes, but really what a person's going through is underneath the water, and that's the psychology, which is what I'm interested in as the director, is what makes a person do what they do.
Like Christopher Walken, there's something odd about that guy.
Oh God, yeah.
And I watch now as I'm an older guy now. Like I love Marlon Brando. You like Marlon Brando?
Yeah, God, yeah.
I mean, what a handsome guy that guy was when he was younger. I mean, and every part. And imagine if he didn't play the Godfather.
And they didn't want him to play the Godfather.
No. Do you know the story of Francis Ford Coppola? So he had done Patton, and he had done the play, the what do you call the play that you do ahead of time, the writing of it, the play? Screenplay for Patton. He was directing the film. They said, he'd already shot the scene where he's up in front of the American flag and all that stuff, and they fired him. So anyway, it's 2 years later. Now he's directing a film called The Godfather, right? And they're getting ready to fire him, and guess what? The screenplay won the Oscar, and they said, we can't fire a guy who just won an Oscar.
Wow.
So talent is rare, but more rare apparently is talent that can recognize talent. They were going to fire this guy who's now gone down in history as a great director, right?
Maybe I should get fired.
Yeah.
That's the lesson here.
Not from here. No.
Not from here.
Isn't that,
It is an amazing story, yeah.
So I want to hear more about like the shows you've done. Name some of the shows that stick in your mind.
Well, we did Oleana last year, which was a dark play by David Mamet in the Waxlax, and you and I talked then. And but I think my favorite play at the Riverside was Lost in Yonkers, which we did on the big stage, the Stark. I always get the Stark, and that was the Neil Simon. That's Lost in Yonkers. We're going back a couple of years, but it's Neil Simon's best play. It's sad and very funny and very personal, and I loved that. And I love being in that space because you feel for a director to direct in a play, a theater like the Stark. You know, when you some people go to work and they hate going to work. I walk into that space and I go, I'm the luckiest guy in the American theater because it's so beautiful. And what Riverside does in terms of the physical production is so. I don't know that I'll ever crack Broadway. I highly doubt it, but I feel like I'm doing something on Broadway.
These are Broadway players you're dealing with.
Oh yes.
And what other town in America gets $300,000 or $400,000 to build a set?
Exactly.
I mean, are there any theaters like this? I mean, we're really an anomaly, aren't we?
Well, there's a handful that do that.
In
Yeah.
affluent communities?
Usually in larger markets or
Yeah.
larger
Yeah.
metropolitan areas. So that Riverside existed and has existed for 50 years is a testament to this community and the people who support it by buying tickets or donations who want this type of quality theater in this area.
Yeah.
It is unusual. Yeah.
Now, they also have that class you can join up with, right?
Yes, we have.
When is that coming up?
Theater appreciation. We have it every Thursday now.
Every Thursday?
Every Thursday.
The whole season?
And for the whole season, from end of December through
What's the
end
time of
April.
day? 10 to 12?
It's Thursdays, 10 to 12.
Right.
Right now, John Moses is leading a class on producing theater. One more week of that, and then we have a couple of weeks of Morning After Grace. So we'll be excited to
You'll
talk
be
about
able to
that.
actually sneak in and watch you,
I'll
right?
help you.
Yeah,
I'll help you.
that'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I love teaching. I love
Do you?
teaching. Yeah, I love teaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I love that because you get a Dr. Steinfeld in here. Do you love what you? I love it when people say that, and I can see you meant it. What do you love about it? Take me as a student. I'm going to come in and sit down now. What are you going to teach me? Help!
Do you want to know the real story?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I think you can handle this, Rhett.
Uh-oh.
But I had a son that passed, and he was an actor. And so when I teach college, I teach undergraduates. And for me to have a chance to help a young person find out who they are, to find their voice, essentially, and to grow is a gift that they give me because I never got to do that. So teaching for me is a very personal business, and I also feel like I'm one of those. I remember how much I loved my professors. I adored them, and they were the giants upon whose shoulders I stood. And now I realize as a master teacher, I am those I'm those guys to them. I'm those teachers, and as I take directing very seriously, I feel like I have an obligation to the entertainment industry to teach kids what it really means to be an actor, because we need to raise the standards. So it's a complicated answer, but I come at it a lot of different ways, and I always learn something about teaching when I get to teach, and something about theater that I didn't know, but having to explain it to the students, I learn it myself again. So is
it some kind of a genius, or can it be taught?
Teaching?
No.
Oh, acting. Oh, yeah. Well, that's that's the question. It really is. I can say that in my classes over the 25 years, there are what I call acting animals, and they'll be an actor whatever. They don't need an acting class. They don't need they don't need shows. They just need to act, create, imagine. And then there are the students that have the capacity to act, but don't really have a way to extrovert their feelings. Very often, the acting is people are interested that are introverts to the acting world, which is fascinating. A lot of the greatest actors are introverts. We think of them all being loudmouths because of what they do. But the teaching of the acting, I think you can teach people. My philosophy is that if you can teach them what the script is offering them, what did the playwright or the screenwriter offer an actor to when they read the play? There are the cues that give you an idea of what the character is doing. Once you unlock what the playwright is doing, then I think it's easier for them to act. And so I really do a lot of script analysis. So you can pick up a script. Like you look at a script here, Mr. Mayor, and you know what you can pick things up quickly because you've done it so long. But these kids need to be trained about what's in the material, and that's what I do a lot of.
Yeah, well, you as the director too, you see the continuity, whereas you can focus in on one spot and they're focused on that, but you can see the end and the beginning at the same time.
That's right.
In
That's
your head, you know.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. And there's this new book out about how some people see visually. Architects see visually, painters see visually, photographers see visually, directors see visually, and now they're trying to teach people who don't see visually the power of seeing visually. So it's like some people can walk into a house and go, "Oh, if we painted it blue, it would be pretty." Some people cannot do that. But I do see, as a director, I do see the whole picture, and I hold it in my head and then try to bring it together. It's a really a very lucky job for me because I get to be a psychiatrist, I get to be a football coach, I get to be a stand-up comic. You know what I mean? I get to be a leader. I get to be your private audience. I'm all those things.
You love people.
I do. I'm always fascinated by people because people always say, well, I don't know why somebody did something like that. I'm like, I know why they did something like that because they're human and they make mistakes. And that's what this play happened. In this play, Angus makes a mistake. Abigail makes a mistake at the funeral home. And the whole play unfolds.
You mean hanging out with each other's a mistake?
That's right. And they hang out with each other, and then that's the inciting incident for the play. But this play is really about people in their late 60s and 70s who are questioning the choices that they made, dealing with disappointment in a really funny, really wonderfully gentle way that Carrie Krim, the playwright, has done here. So anybody in our audience is going to go, I think I've made a lot of mistakes, or I wish I had more second chances. I often told this cast, this is a play about second chances. How many second chances do we have? And I also said, in the early day of rehearsal, I said, the title for this work for me is a romantic comedy about loss and disappointment for the pickleball set. Because it's all about pickleball.
Now I have to see this. I just turned 70, so it's like...
Yeah, well,
if you don't have regrets by the time you're 70, something's wrong. Regrets, I've had a few, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And he says too few to mention. I don't know, but Sinatra was a good guy. But anyway, so we won't go down that rabbit trail. So I got a gazillion things I want to ask you. Now, see, so for me, I'm a high school dropout. And so I only got an 8th grade diploma. The nice thing is back at the age of 68, when they had COVID, you could go to the college for free for a year.
Wow.
So I went, and guess what? I was on the dean's list both times.
Oh, right. Good for you.
The dean's list.
Wow.
I never got an A in school. So it's kind of cool. But now they can tell, and you as a professor know this, they can tell when you want to be there. It's not obligatory. You're not there to get the credits or whatever. I don't care about credits. And when you see that, the guys like him will light up, right? When you see somebody that really wants this.
Yes.
And they're on fire.
Yes.
You know?
It makes your job very easy. When they want it.
So that being said, I would have these waves of inferiority talking to you. So make sure that if I don't ask you something you want to be asked, make sure I ask that.
Okay.
Because I know when we go to the classes over at Riverside Theatre, I'm looking down and going, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like, I could never do that in a gazillion million years, you know?
I'll take you at your word.
Yeah.
I'll take you at your word. You said, if you don't ask me something, then I should bring it up. And I'm going to bring it up right now.
Yes.
You could ask me if I could use $20. Just say, could you use a 20?
Could you use $20?
I could use 20.
You got 20. Okay, I got 20.
20's nothing now. 20's nothing now.
What do you need it for? You want a sandwich?
Starbucks coffee.
I want a coffee. Yes.
It is insane. What's going on here?
I know.
You go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to McDonald's now. It starts at $16 an hour. In Seattle, the minimum wage is $20 an hour.
Yeah.
What they don't realize is now you're paying $30 for a Big Mac attack.
I know, really.
And so you're feeling it too?
Oh yeah. I bought some milk and eggs the other day, and it really was $16. I was like, what is going on?
Oh yeah.
What happened?
There's $6 for half a gallon if you buy the organic. And you should buy the organic because male or female, you have a 64% less chance of getting breast cancer, male or female, because it's carcinogenic material in milk. So if you got somebody you love in your life, buy organic milk. Now, you buy the Publix, it's only $4.50.
There you go.
So,
Name brand.
see that name brand. And this show is brought to you by Publix.
Yeah.
They should sponsor this thing, you know?
I'm telling you.
Hey, Mr. Publix. Ching, ching. Anyway.
Now, let me just interject a second.
Yeah.
Chris has directed 5 shows here at Riverside.
$20.
And each show has dealt with a different subject matter. It's not like, oh, he's doing all musicals, he's doing all dramas or all comedies. Yeah. And the capacity he has to bring out the reality of every character that people in the audience can relate to is just phenomenal. And I'm not saying that just because he's here. We would not bring him back if Alan Cornell didn't have full confidence in him to bring something to our audience.
He has a way of picking them, doesn't he?
He does.
Actors, directors, everybody.
Yeah, it's an honor.
Our theater, and just like any other theater, the patrons come for an experience. They want something that they either to learn, to grow, to get away from, or what have you. They want to feel
won't remember
something.
what you said, but they'll remember the way you made them feel.
Correct. And Chris has the capacity to really make the plays that he directs something special that people feel.
Yes. And if you want a better seat, sneak a $20 bill.
Yeah.
Oh, there
Thank
you go.
you, Oscar. That's really very sweet of you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of blushing.
Well, anyway, so tell me a story. People like stories.
Yeah.
So just like a story of something that happened and in something about doing a show that you might tell at somebody's house at Friday night when you're having a glass of wine or
Like
something.
a funny story?
I think I got a funny one
Okay.
for you. This is my favorite theater. My favorite theater story happened at the Theater Club of the Palm Beaches when Louis Tyrrell and Nan Barnett ran it, and then it became Florida Stage. But Nan and I were acting in a play called The Voice of the Prairie, and at the end of the first act, Nan's character was a blind young woman, and I was playing her boyfriend, we were in.
Was she your wife in real life?
No, she was the other actor, and I had to hold her. I had to hold her arms as she stretched out at the apron of the stage, practically into the audience's lap. But that day, my shoes slipped, and I couldn't hold Nan, and Nan and I, and this is the end of the first act of the play. Nan and I fell off the stage into the laps of the people in the first row. And then I went to blackout. And then in the blackout, we had to get up out of the seats and get off stage. And the director came backstage and said, "What the hell is going on? What did you do?" I was like, "I was an accident." So that's my story.
And I'm sticking to it.
And I'm sticking to it. And I keep saying, and Nan says it was my fault, and I say it was Nan's fault.
Ah,
Yeah,
Well, you're saying it really was your fault.
it was, yeah.
You admit it, so.
he admits it now.
So, now you had mentioned your son's death, and the reason I'm bringing this up is, I'm at this age of 70, and I've gone through my own sorrows. I'm
Yeah.
by the stage you have, and I read in the Bible that Jesus learned obedience by the things which he suffered, and then it also says that he was a man well acquainted with sorrow, and it seems when you follow the footsteps of somebody who ends up who's really great, they've had some sorrow.
Yep.
It usually etches or breaks us open. Was it Hemingway who said, it's our brokenness that lets the light in?
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds great.
So, if you don't mind me asking, how old was your son when you lost him?
6.
Oh, geez, so young.
Jess Elias. It was his birthday yesterday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But it was a great birthday because we had rehearsal. Yeah.
And so you had to work.
Yeah, I got to work in the theater, which was great. That's a gift. And the theater and the actors and the stage managers were so sweet to me, and we brought in cake.
But that must make you, it must open up more a compassionate person.
There was my reality is there was Chris before my son was born. There was a part of me that became a man. I was a kid until I had a baby. I became a man. And then after he died, I was a man, but then I became a kind of citizen of the world, and I was kind of in contact in a visceral way with the real pain that all humanity suffers in many different ways, but mine happened to be the loss of a child. So I became a better director. Ironically, it did exactly what Hemingway says. It opened me up. And then I could, to talk about what Oscar said, then I do see the pain in people, and people I can commiserate. And I learned, it gave me a space in my heart to accept people in pain, or neurotic people, or crazy people. I just know that all of us are trying to do our very best, but sometimes we can't. And it's that failing and that struggle that all theater is about, which is what people confront a problem. And we go to the theater to watch people confront their demons and their fears and their dreams, and they want to accomplish something, but this play, the writer doesn't allow it to happen. But we in the audience suffer with them and grow with them. And there's a catharsis at the end of the play. Something happens, people change. But that's why we go to the theater. And that loss, Jesse's loss, really changed how I directed. Because I think I was a good director before then. I was a facile director. I was funny and I could move things around and I was nifty, but I think I was missing a lot of the stories. And then that's why I can do a funny play and I can also do a dark play. I can do a sad play. I can do a mix of themes. And it is, ironically and sadly, it is the gift that my son gave me. And he gave me many gifts, but it's his way of saying, take the loss, make something of it. It's called sublimation. You take something painful and awful, and you make art out of it.
Well, it wakes you up. I mean, yeah, I'm working on a book right now, and it's We Only Grow in the Valleys. You know, when you're fat and happy, you don't
Yes.
grow, you know.
Right. That's right.
My father was killed when I was 5, a little bit almost the opposite of you. And we got some insurance money, but the truck that was driving that killed them up in the South Carolina was a U.S. paper, but they were hiring them outside, so it wasn't connected to U.S. paper.
Of course.
So, and they didn't have insurance.
Oh,
So we never got any money from that. So, but had we done that, my brother and I probably would have gotten millions of dollars. My dad was a lawyer. He already had a successful practice. He died at 31. The potential earnings, you know. But you know what? It would have ruined me.
Sure.
Because I'd be down here living on the beach, playing golf every day, and be some thin, superficial jerk, probably. Whereas, things spun out of control, and things that people don't know the ramifications of them. But these things wake you up. Like, and my brother drowned on 911. And it used to be, here's my mom, now here's my good stepdad, and here's my brother, and we're all really tight. Now they're all gone now, right? And my brother's gone. And it's like, now I used to meet you and go, okay, you're okay, but you're not my brother.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, it may not be the same DNA, but you ain't going to have a brother unless you get somebody to be your brother. So now, and also something else that happens when you go through these pains too is like, years ago, I'm going to call the Riverside Theatre, and I'm talking to a gatekeeper. That's the person that answers the phone. Hello? Hello, how are you? Now, I'm not really important, but I want to act like I'm important so I can get through. I want to see Mr. Oscar Sales here, blah, 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 blah. What's changed over time now is when I call, I say, hi, how are you? Oh, I'm Dorothy. Oh, where are you from, Dorothy? Well, I'm from Tennessee, and why'd you get the Bureau? Next thing I know is I'm forgetting why I'm calling, because I'm actually not putting it on. I'm actually interested in her as much as I am calling Oscar to do business.
That's right.
And I like that about me more as an older guy.
Yeah, right.
Every person, when I met Bernie Sanders, this guy came running up to him to shake his hand, and Bernie shook his hand looking like this. I don't want to pick on Bernie, but he was looking over to see who's more important at the event. And I realized right then, I said, if you can't care about one, you can't care about 1 million.
That's right.
And how do you connect with your actors? You have to, every time all these actors who you haven't worked with before, you have to go in as the director. And you've got to establish some credibility. Like, I'm not here to bite you. I'm here to work with you. I'm here to serve you, to be your friend, to be your accomplice. And we're professionals, and I'm here to, there's a whole lot of communication that has to go on without you putting on a big oration about it.
That's right. And we learned something. It's always interesting to go to New York and audition the actors, because Scott Wojcik, our casting director, is a wonderful guy and really brings in interesting actors. But we learned something this time, because the actors were in their 60s and 70s, and I always say that if you're still auditioning at 60 and 70, you can be grumpy. But they came in, and we tried to create a place where they could do their work safely and be accepted, because if you can give them the permission to be themselves in a room safely, then you're going to find out just how good they are.
I once said I wanted to do a one-man show. This is about 30 years ago. On St. John in the Bible, not John the Baptist, but the other John. And I said, I wanted to do this one-man show, blah, blah, blah. And a guy like you, he's a director, he goes, it sounds to me like you're asking for permission.
Yeah.
He said, I give you permission to do that. Isn't it a funny thing? But just that one voice saying, you have permission to do that.
Yeah.
For some reason, see, I'll tell you, folks, here's why I don't even deserve to have this guy in the studio here. He was an adjunct professor of classical acting in the master's program at Pace University, Actor Studio Drama School for 5 years, adjunct professor of British Styles and American Comedy at Malloy College, assistant professor acting, Florida Gulf Coast University, instructor of voice and speech Can I get these new fake teeth? Am I ever going to get this list to see this list thing back out there?
Teeth look great, though, I have to tell you.
The teeth look great, but the things that. But anyway, I don't know if I'll need. Hey, maybe I'll keep it. Like, who's the guy who goes, hey, he's looking at you, kid?
That's Bogart.
Now, Bogart,
Yeah.
you know his man, he wanted to change it. He was going to get his list fixed. The man says, don't you touch that.
Yeah.
Do you think he would have been famous without that? That's part of his, you know.
Yeah, that's his thing.
He's looking at you,
Yeah.
kid. All right, let's go down here. So, I mean, why? I've never understood Shakespeare. Why? Because it seems like it's, you know, above my pay grade.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure you know Shakespeare. All you guys do, right? Why is Shakespeare so important to those who are professional actors and directors like yourself?
It's the heavy lifting. You know, when you do a comedy, a light comedy, it's like having ice cream. But when you do a Shakespeare piece, it's kind of like you're lifting the 50-pound dumbbells. You know.
You mean to be credible? You mean? Or
No,
what?
it's just that it's hard. It's hard because the language is dense. It's poetry. It's mostly poetry, and I don't think we get really great education in English in this country. And I think to be able to read complicated writing is hard for people. And then you got to make it real. So it's hard. It's language problems, and it's understanding what Shakespeare is saying. If you can understand what he's saying, you can do it. But sometimes it's hard to unlock it, and it's not. And I've done it for 30 years, and I still have a hard time. Sometimes I'll read something, and I'll pick up Julius Caesar, and I'll go, I don't even know what the hell they're saying. And I'm an actor, a director. So
Thank God.
yeah,
Thanks for saying that. Free me up.
yeah, right.
From these waves of inferiority. So let's get back to this play, because I know you got better things to do than be here with me, but I appreciate you coming over. Morning After Grace. Now, that's going to be starting January 30th through February 18th, and it's on the big stage over there.
It's on the Waxlax.
It's in the Waxlax.
The
intimate-
Waxlax.
the
Okay, so
intimate
it's the more
stage.
intimate
Yes.
theater. Oh, I love that over there. I got to see this one, though.
You do.
Because you said it's a conflict of say it again, what it's about, people that are, 60 and 70, what?
Well, it's people in their 60s and 70s that have made a couple mistakes or several mistakes that are trying to make sense of this next act in their life. And it's what I think of it as a collision play, because Carrie Krim puts three interesting types of people in the room, and they have a wonderful debate about what does it mean to be alive. And it's so funny. She sets up these scenarios that are so funny, and she's a little like Neil Simon in that she writes some great one-liners, but it amounts to something. It's a full dinner at the theater. It's sad, it's funny, it's dark, sometimes it's bitter, but it strikes all the chords in our lives, which is that we're not just one thing. But to me, what I'm attracted to, and I think our audiences will be drawn by, is that these are good people who we recognize as our neighbors. They're people that we could go to the Publix with, and they're people that we go to church with these people. And then when Carrie puts them in this room, we can have a real experience, because it's not that we can't go to the theater and watch people from another country that speak a different language and we feel like we don't know who they are. No, in Morning After Grace, it is your neighbor, it is your brother, it is your cousin down the street. And it's set in a condo community in Florida, so it really is a kind of a community play for us. And also Carrie is there's poignancy in the writing. And for me, because you heard my story about my son, if something is poignant, I'm drawn to it. I don't think the world is all happy or sad. I think in rehearsal, I always talk about what Tennessee Williams said, which was that for Tennessee Williams and his famous female characters, he said, what I'm interested in humanity is valor. People that are suffering and still try. And that is happening in this play. And I think people will have a real experience.
Now, who wrote this?
Her name is Carrie Krim.
Oh, she wrote this.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said it was a Simon.
Well, no, I said she writes one-liners like Neil Simon.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know Neil Simon had said, I read an interview with him years ago as a kid in New York Times, and he said, if you make them laugh, then you have permission to come in and make them cry, right?
That's right. They'll listen to you and they'll work. Yeah, people. It's like it's like softening up a boxer. You give a couple body blows, and then you know what I mean. Then you knock them out with the sadness.
Well, you know what's great about theater too is that to make it interesting, they are people of color. They're people that blossom, And sometimes people will blossom. Like I went to a hiking camp up in Killington, Vermont a couple of years ago. And there's this one guy, what do you call it when they're on the spectrum a little bit? And he was this Jewish kid from Montreal. But he talked real loud. You know, like this, blah, 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 blah. And we had all these tables, and you'd come in to all have breakfast, and then you get in the vans to go out and do your hiking. It was a lose weight camp, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this guy's there, and then I moved. You know, I didn't want to be near him because he's so loud. And then suddenly I realized, I said, 20 years from now, you're not going to remember anybody in here except him. And you know what?
Yeah.
He's the only one that became my friend on Facebook.
Wow.
And I still remember him.
That's right.
Because he stuck out. So sometimes it's hard to embrace the odd ones we run into, but those are the very ones that give our life color. And I think theater says, celebrate your neighbor.
That's right.
So you got a neighbor like Mrs. Wilcox. Oh, whatever it is.
Right.
So anyway, I think it's great. I think it's very important. I think it's far more important than people realize art. Like, first of all, I don't think people understand comedians are great artists because art teaches us to see something. When you go see a play like this for me, going through those things, I bet you I'm going to be able to relate to that.
Oh, well, he's 70 years old, our protagonist.
I just
You're
turned
the
70.
You're the protagonist.
No, brother.
And
I'm
if you-
the old guy.
Listen, this is the part you should play.
Yeah.
If you're going to play it, find a theater to do it because he's 70, he's ready to go.
Yeah, but my memory not good.
Yeah, I know.
But then again, they said that Marlon was like, "Oh, I got the information up there on the roof. I'm gonna make him an offer you can't refuse, And he's
That's right.
always
That's
looking
right. He's
around.
always looking for the line.
Do you think that the looking around maybe made him more interesting?
Well-
Is that a secret to acting? Have you directed anything to do with film?
Just a couple of things, but
'Cause that's a totally different thing.
Marlon Brando had cue cards on the set.
Yeah.
There's a picture of maybe Al Pacino on the making of The Godfather, and he has a big set of lines on his chest, and they're shooting Marlon Brando's shot. So Brando's reading the lines, and he doesn't know the lines. But you can't tell that he's reading the lines. He's Marlon Brando. Don't let amateurs try this. Yeah.
You should read. Did you ever read his autobiography?
No. Oh,
Really
no.
interesting. I went out to La Quinta, California. My niece and nephew, and I happened to they have these little cottages you rent. It's out near Palm, whatever that place is out in the desert.
Yeah.
And
Palm
he
Springs?
said this was the cottage of Marlon Brando. So I stayed right in his cottage. But anyway, listen, great to see you again. The show's coming up. It's called Morning After Grace at the Riverside Waxlax Theater.
That's right.
January 30th through the 18th. Just get on riversidetheater.com. That's it. Don't have
That
to
is
give out any
great.
phone numbers anymore.
Fabulous.
Nobody calls
Nope.
anymore anyway,
Exactly.
right? riversidetheater.com. Oscar Sales, Director of Marketing over there. Thanks for bringing in our guest today. And we thank you, Mr. Director, and for coming in here today, who is Chris Clavelli. I always want to make sure I pronounce it
You
correctly.
did it beautifully.
Okay.
Thank
Have a
you
great
so
day,
much.
right?
Thank
God
you.
bless.
We're going to rehearsal now.
Oh, break a leg.
That's right.
That's right.
That's
All right.
right. That's right.
All right, we're going to take a break, folks. I know you want to have a beautiful smile. Well, an examination, radiographs, a healthy cleaning would normally be well over $200. Gosh. Right now, for $79, you can call Plains Dental Arts, 231-6004. It's all included for $79. The examination, the radiographs, the healthy cleaning. Okay, call Plains Dental Arts. Make your appointment right now, 772-231-6004. Takes care of gingivitis, takes care of halitosis, gives you a great healthy smile. You get a thorough examination. Plains Dental Arts, just south of the Village Beach Market on A1A. Again, $79 for the examination, radiographs, healthy cleaning, 231-6004. Call now, 772-231-6004.
The Rhett Palmer broadcast is brought to you by Complete Electric Complete Alarm. Get your generator checked now before the next hurricane strikes. Call the good folks at Complete Electric Complete Alarm. You'll be safe and sound when the next hurricane strikes. Call Complete Electric Complete Alarm.
Hello, residents of Indian River County. Recycling is all fun and games with the Solid Waste Disposal District's sorting game designed to test your recycling skills. Build your own digital park and earn rewards by placing material into the correct bins. You can even earn a certificate. To find this cool game, download the Carter's Corner app on your mobile device at Google Play or the Apple App Store, or visit indianriver.gov.
A.E. Stalls Real Estate and Associates is a hometown family company. Josh and Mandy Stalls, along with their two sons, have deep roots in this community. As a boutique brokerage, they are located steps away from Vero's beachside communities. They have a strong team of realtors, the tools, and experience to guide clients to the closing table. Helping clients feel confident in the buying and selling market is what they do. You can reach them at stallsrealestate.com, Facebook, or 772-800-8305.
Hi, I'm a golf enthusiast, and I love Big Shots Golf on US 1, next to Advanced Eye Care. I was at Big Shots recently and had a great time playing a virtual 18-hole golf course. Big Shots also serves really good food. The mini cheeseburgers are my favorite. I love the ice cream, too. For a fun time, bring your friends and family to Big Shots Golf on US 1